Hello, everyone. My name is Xiaohui Liu, and I'm a founder and CEO of a startup called sCrypt. So basically, we offer integrated on-chain smart contract on the original Bitcoin protocol with no changes. Before I even go to the details of what sCrypt does, and I want to just to briefly talk about what the smart contracts for, because you probably heard about this buzzword for a lot, and for most people, it's kind of still a very vague concept. So for me, smart contract is very easy. It's like any other computer code, but the only difference is it's run by the miners collectively. So what kind of properties does it enable? That's different from any other piece of code. So the number one property is it makes it trustless. So basically, because the miners, they all compete to check each other. So that makes sure not individual miners, they cannot cheat. So you can always make sure the code is going to run faithfully, and you don't have to make any trust assumptions. Because nowadays, right, especially across the internet, we do a lot of business online, and a lot of time you have counterparty risk because you are not at the physical space together. So for example, I want to, let's say, purchase some digital goods from you, and if I pay you first, you may not give me the goods, or if you deliver the goods to me, I may not pay you. So vice versa, right? So this is a perfect use case to use smart contract. So what does it enable? It enables the atomic swap between the payment and whatever you are trying to get, either digital goods or some other physical goods. So you don't have to trust anybody. And also, it can be made more efficient because a lot of times for such transaction to happen, you need some like a third party, for example, like escrow or even court. So you can remove such middleman per se. And also because of the micro payment capability for Bitcoin, you can do a lot of other transactions which you cannot do before. Because for example, you want to do like buy some goods, but you cannot afford to go to the court because the goods cost you maybe like just $1, right? So you can, I don't know. For me, I probably would not go to court just to get back $1. After we briefly introduce smart contract and what they're good for, the question is, what platform would you rather to build a smart contract on top of? So I would argue here, the Bitcoin, in terms of the ticker symbol BSV, is the ideal platform to build smart contracts today. So basically, just for simple side-by-side comparison, I compared it with like a most prominent smart contract platform, which is Ethereum today. So across different criteria. So number one, one of the most important one is it scales. So today, right, Bitcoin SV does on the mainnet 3,000 transactions per second versus Ethereum, which is a mere like sometimes 10, sometimes just 15. So that's like 200 times faster. And of course, we keep growing the block size. So this number is just keep growing. The fundamental reason is when Satoshi designed the original Bitcoin protocol, it used a so-called horizontal scaling model. So basically, you can think of the more machines you add into the network, the more transactions you can process per second. Versus Ethereum, that uses so-called vertical scaling. Basically, to scale it up, you have to add more and more powerful machine, right? Because each individual machine has a physical limit. So that's why it renders it theoretically and also practically unscalable. Also security, because of some technical design, it makes sure it's so-called using the UTXO model. That basically means if you write smart contract on Bitcoin, it's inherently more secure, because you probably heard about many hacks on the Ethereum network, but not quite many, right? I can name maybe a few on Bitcoin that the smart contract has been hacked. And also for cost, because of thanks to the scalability of Bitcoin, for now, we can talk about a sub-cent, a sub-US cent. And the good thing is, not only is like 1,000 times cheaper, it does everything that Ethereum can do, but with 1,000 times cheaper. And as we keep scaling, this number is just going to getting cheaper and cheaper because of the economy of scale. So let's get back to what we do here. So basically, sCrypt is, as Jimmy mentioned, we are a startup that does a smart contract exclusively on Bitcoin SV. So we offer a full suite of developer solutions, including our high-level language called sCrypt. So basically, it's like, think about like a JavaScript or Solidity that enables you to write smart contract in a modern programming language. We also offer IDEs, basically the software tools for you to write smart contracts in. We offer the cloud solution. Basically, you can go there without download anything, but also we offer the more powerful desktop version. We also build a lot of SDKs around this. So whatever language you program in, you probably can find something that's suitable for you. So right now we offer JavaScript and Python, and we have Golang and also Java that's coming on the pipeline. And so we are like a very early stage. We only launched our first beta IDE about 18 months ago at CoinGeek London. So since then, we have seen explosive growth. So just a number here. So the X is the number of months since we launched, and also you can see the downloads. So actually, we just hit 2,000. I think about a week ago was presenting at the Miami conference, and we hit like 1,990. And unfortunately, since then, we have a few dozen people using download our tools. So we just hit 2,000. So all of this is done without any marketing, just word by word by developers who have been using this. And we have been seeing a lot of growth, especially from smart contract developers from many other blockchains, for example, Ethereum, because they have been seeing, many of them have the misconception that Bitcoin cannot do smart contract, but the reality is we can always do, and we can do it much better. So we have been used by a lot of projects within the BSV space. I think here just list some of the highlights. For example, tokenized and a lot of wallets, dot wallets, or Vault, or RelayX. They've all been using us. And also, I just want to highlight here the Sensible. They have been developing a so-called decentralized exchange. It's very similar to if you heard about the Uniswap or SushiSwap on Ethereum. So basically, it's the same thing running on BSV on chain, but it's like 1,000 times cheaper. So instead of paying like $100 to swap, you can pay like just 10 cents or sometimes even 1 cent. So that's shows the power of what we can achieve on sCrypt. So just want to list some of the use cases we have been showing. All of this has been implemented by us, and we have shown the proof of concept. So one type of use case we have been seeing a lot of interest is so-called we can use Bitcoin to solve a computation problems. You can outsource it. Basically, for example, we have released this smart contract called decentralized Kaggle. So for people who have not heard about Kaggle computation, basically it's a machine learning marketplace where you can outsource your machine learning tasks to all participants who wants to train your data set. And if they can find the best model, they can win a huge prize. I think even Netflix and some Zillow, they offer like $1 million prize for each computation. So basically, you can do the Kaggle competition without the Kaggle the company. So there are a lot of benefits, right? First, it's fully transparent and also trustless. So basically, if you rank at the highest, you automatically get paid. You don't have to trust anybody, and because all the data and all the computation is on the blockchain, so everybody can audit and verify it. Actually, the rules are enforced. So also you can use this to outsource your logistics. For example, UPS, right? Because the gas price changing every day. You want to find the most efficient route, fuel efficient route. Let's say deliver package to the whole, let's say, country, or even your whole local town, right? Another big category is the so-called finance, because we are talking about New York here. So a lot of people here probably from the finance industry. For example, we have probably some example. Let's say if you use a smart contract, you can automate your insurance as a weather derivative, right? So you can say, oh, you can have a binary option. For example, if the weather is severely affect your yield today, the insurance can kick in. Otherwise, you can just pay the premium, and you don't get covered by the insurance. And also, you can even, if you really want, you can be your own bank. You can lock some of your fund into a contract, and the contract makes sure you cannot just arbitrarily spend it. You can spend, like, let's say, daily spending limit. You can even limit to who you are going to pay to, and also you can say, oh, you have to make sure, or for example, some children, when they spend the coins, they also need approval from the parents. So it's you can do a lot of traditional banking, but with everything automated. And also another big thing, we have seen a lot of people presenting gaming in this conference. So you can think about now, especially when you play games that involve a lot of money on the table. So a lot of time, right, you don't know whether you can trust whoever is hosting all this game. You don't know, maybe somebody's cheating, but if you put it on the blockchain and enforced by the miners, you can always be sure is fair and it's transparent and nobody can cheat. We have implemented, for example, lottery. You can think about decentralized lottery, that's no house, and everybody can make sure it's fair and truly random. And also we implement some very simple logic, tic-tac-toe, but you can, this is just simple example. You can always extend it by adding more complex games on top of it too. And lastly, I think because we talk about a lot of AI and machine learning for big data, so we implemented some basic AI tools, for example, perceptron on top of the Bitcoin. And also on the right, basically, if we can show you can sell some image, you use a higher definition image, you can first give the buyer some like a sense of preview with low quality image, and you can make sure if he pays enough, he can see the more higher definition image without trusting the seller, or the seller doesn't have to trust the buyer. So just to summarize, and we just talked about smart contract on Bitcoin and versus a lot of other blockchains. So this is the market size we are looking at today. And we are talking about in the whole is almost like $500 billion, especially when we're at the very top of the market hype earlier this year. So you can see we are relatively very small because of our technical superiority. That's how I see it. It will behave the same as a transaction we have seen. It's going to Pac-Man all the other blockchains because it can seemingly can do whatever they can do, and just at a much more scalable way and much more secure. And also we even showed some of the case we can do a lot of smart contract that's not easily replicated on other smart contract platforms. So I hope this is useful, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Let me ask this question, which is because people don't think smart contracts are doable on Bitcoin. And so can you explain in the kind of simplest lay person terms you can, what about it in Bitcoin's protocol and scripting language allows the creation of smart contracts when people thought that was not possible on Bitcoin? That's why they needed to use Ethereum. So what in Bitcoin's protocol allows it?
Okay, this is one, if not the biggest, one of the biggest misconception, intentionally or unintentionally spread out there outside people to misunderstand Bitcoin. Because if I I don't have the slide here, but basically if you go back to the original writings for Satoshi on the Bitcoin forum, there's a post that's very famous. Basically says, I think it's Michael Hearn to study the conversation or somebody else. Basically, he's saying he designed the Bitcoin in such a way is extensible to any kind of a business logic and transactions out there. Because if you added as you just mentioned, right, it has this built-in Mealy language called Bitcoin script. So here's very easy like a counter argument for people who say, oh, Bitcoin is not supposed to do smart contract. Then there's no reason, right, for Satoshi to put the script in Bitcoin in the first place, right? Because if you only send in some money from Alice to Bob, A to B, you don't need any business like smart contract capability. Then you don't need script, right? What the reason, only reason, logical reason you put script there is such that you can encode any arbitrary logic, which today we call it a smart contract, right?
Right. Yeah. So basically, Satoshi baked into the design of Bitcoin a basic programming language called Bitcoin
Yes.
sCrypt. And that's why his company is called sCrypt. It's an ode to that. It's an ode to the fact that Satoshi designed the Bitcoin system not just send money, but to actually build business logic for these more advanced functions. It was never possible on the BTC network, one, because of scaling. You can't do it. We can only hold a megabyte per block. You can't do all of these things. And in addition, because it costs too much, and the Bitcoin core developers on BTC actually turned off or restricted some of the capacity of some of these technical functions, which we won't get into today. But we restored all that with Bitcoin SV, and that's what has allowed bright entrepreneurs like Xiaohui to unlock this capability and do it all in one chain. All right, Xiaohui, I'm going to let you go so we can move on to our next session. But thank you, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.